Welcome back to Wisdom, Whiskey, and Winning. This week's host is myself, Chili Capital P, and this episode's title is Bridging the Gap. I'd like to introduce my man Tay.
Yo, what's going on, y'all? Julius Taylor, aka Tay. Glad to be here. Glad to talk about this topic today.
Ooh, welcome back, my boy RB. Get him.
Yo, what's up, everybody? It's Richie Brown. Everybody knows me as RB. I'm excited to be here early this morning over here in Montana. It's good to see y'all all.
Good stuff. And my boy Low, what up?
Yo, what's good? Everybody knows me just as much as RB, so I want to throw that out there.
Hey. All right, as always, we're gonna handle this the same way. Bring the energy, bring the topics. All right. Before we jump into it, though, just a little bit of small talk. Did y'all see that LeBron James situation? I guess they're calling her courtside Karen or whatever.
Yeah, man.
Lo, you saw it? You got anything?
Yeah,
any interjects? What you got?
These people think because they be like, oh, I pay your salary, that they could just be talking to these NBA players however they want to talk to them, man. And then people are like, oh, LeBron shouldn't be responding. I'm like, we gotta stop holding these athletes like they're not human.
All right.
You know what I'm saying? They're human. They are human, and they have emotions just like us. They just get paid a lot more money. But just because you get paid a lot more money don't mean you got to suppress your emotions. We got to stop that mentality in 2021.
Hey, so I got a question, Lo. When you say pay these people salaries, so them seats are expensive, right? Did that ever come out? It was somebody that was like super paid, and he was talking crazy. Like
she was sitting courtside, so I'm assuming she paid a lot of money.
Yeah.
She paid a lot of money for them seats, and I mean, with COVID, I'm pretty sure, she probably got the, because there's not a lot of fans there anymore, so
they got the clout to just be in it.
Yeah. So I mean, as a fan, look, let me put it like this: I'm not against her saying shit, but don't be mad when the player says something back. If you're gonna be able to dish it, take it. I think I think the banter's good, man, because I like seeing the fans talk shit to the players and go back and forth. But when it goes too far, I mean, that's the only thing. How do we know when it's too far? How do we, because sometimes alcohol is involved, shit like that, and you start saying something, and you say some ignorant stuff, and they're human, man. So if that was me, I probably would have said something back too, man.
Yeah. Hey, RB, what you got, bro?
All right, so I feel some type of way about it. We're talking about LeBron James, one of the greatest players of all time going right now currently. We all agree on that, right? He's played in a lot of games throughout his career. So there's been plenty of things that said to him. I think it was her husband that said something to him where he responded and she wanted to act all big and bad. I feel like if he responded, this man must have said something that was just out of content and inappropriate. And I think that shouldn't be tolerated. I mean, these guys travel all over the world to show that they're some of the greatest athletes to play around. And yes, we pay for tickets to go watch them, but you don't disrespect them also. That's just not appropriate. Yes, we can say, oh, you suck. But if you're getting into one of the greatest players to respond to you, you didn't just say, oh, you sucked. And for her to pop off like that, they should have kicked her out. Period.
All right.
That's my opinion.
So, hey, I haven't seen anything or read anything that anything racial or slander was done. It was just the normal back and forth talk. Okay. I heard LeBron said something funny, but I haven't heard no audio of him saying, oh, steroid. I was laughing when I read it, but they haven't released the audio. Tay, have you seen anything that maybe would have made you trigger like that?
No, I didn't see anything. I seen the little interview with her afterwards, her ranting on the internet about the whole incident, about how LeBron James said something to her husband, and then how she was just taking up for her man, and I guess people on the internet was calling her a gold digger. But I honestly felt like, I felt like the cops or the security, did the right thing by removing her, because like Lo said, once alcohol is introduced, they don't want another. If you guys remember the Pacers incident, you know what I'm saying?
People don't remember that.
That's legendary.
A lot of I'm a Pacers fan, so that's the first thing I thought of. You know what I mean? So I think security is quick to remove you from the area. You know what I'm saying? If alcohol is involved, they see you're drinking, and I think the banter back and forth, I think that they let that go. You know what I mean? Because you got the Spike Lees on the court, you got the Kevin Harts on the court. You know what I'm saying? They go back and forth with the athletes. But once you start really getting angry and you're starting to show that anger emotion, those emotions with anger, I think that they should have removed her and her husband. But if it was just back and forth banter, man, I don't think so. And I think LeBron James was, right. I think he said in his press conference, I don't think that it deserved them to get kicked out. But the banter's back and forth, and if they go back and forth, like ref, go ahead and get in the middle of it a little bit. But I think, like I said, man, anything that happens on the internet or happens like that, it's good for about good 5 minutes, and afterwards, man, it's old news. You know what I'm saying? So. This will blow over real quick. But
I like how LeBron handled it, man. He's always a positive steward. Some of the political stuff he says sometimes, I'm 50-50 with it, but we're not going to get into that. But I think he handled this situation perfect, saying, hey, they shouldn't have been kicked out. It's part of the game. You know what I'm saying? That I let the security and system handle it. That was, I don't think he could have said that any better. You know what I'm saying? Not LeBron, the player, the father, the man. No, I don't think they should have done it. This is what we out here as basketball players doing. They handled the situation, and he let everybody know it was not his call, and that was very strategic to say. Just my opinion. All right. Nobody else got nothing else on that?
Nah, man.
All right. So just a little bit more. You guys saw the memo that came out, 2 days ago, I think it was, about the mandate for the mask, the update. So I'm going to read a few things on it real quick, and then Tay, I'm going to prep you. I'm going to read all this, and you're going to be the first one I'm going to ask, all right?
Okay.
So listen up. All right, so based off military times, right, this is the way they wrote it, and then when I get to the what's it called, the individuals, what the exceptions, that's what's actually in the memo, okay? So a sweeping new order issued by Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin III makes face masks mandatory at all times for everyone on military bases, with very few exceptions, all right? According to the memo published Thursday, masks must now be worn even outdoors and when people are able to maintain a 6-foot distance. Circumstances under which unmasking was previously permitted. All right. So these are the exceptions, all right, on military installations, if they haven't covered it at your base right now. When an individual is alone in an office with a floor and ceiling and walls with a closed door. I would think that's
yeah, I mean, that's
no shit, right? Like I obviously take that. So how you take that, Tay? What's your opinion on that? Right, wrong, indifferent? He's the boss man. We know that. How you take that?
I mean, I think that all right. I think that mask in this situation with this pandemic going on, I understand they're trying to slow it down. But I think the mask thing is, I think it's essential to help us. I mean, I work in a combat arms shop where I was seeing, we were seeing 28 people a day. You know what I mean? 28 students
high risk,
a day.
right? Yeah.
High risk. Me and my 7 guys are seeing 28 people 4 days a week. Excuse me, I won't say every day. 4 days a week, and all of us caught COVID. All of us, and we didn't know where it came from. You know what I mean? We didn't know where it came from. We didn't know if someone got it. One of my guys got it from their house and brought it in. We didn't know if someone in the classroom gave it to us. But what ended up happening was that everybody who was in those classes for that week got quarantined. Everybody who we came in contact for that week, it was a whole effect, and it affected the mission at the end of the day. Do I think the mask is silly? Yeah, man, I think it's silly. Do I think it's necessary? Yeah, I think it's necessary. It's just one of those things that you have to deal with, I believe, in the military. It's like one of those rules that you just have to deal with that you may not like or care about, but it's necessary. You know what I mean? So that's how I feel about it.
All right, the second one, I'm just going to do 3, all right, because these are the ones that stuck out to me. RB, for brief periods of time when eating and drinking while maintaining distancing in accordance with CDC guidelines and instructions from commanders and supervisors. So supervisor, obviously you fall under that, right, RB? I don't think this is too far from what we've been doing anyway, but what's your take on that, brother?
So with the food, I mean, of course, we'll take our mask off to eat and drink. I just wish they would provide enough information for what the capabilities of this virus's spread does. We still don't know that. So I feel like we're shooting a shotgun of, knee-jerk reactions to try to figure out, okay, maybe this will work. If they said, okay, this virus is an airborne thing, you need to wear your stuff. But if you touch stuff, it doesn't do anything. I just wish they had some type of way that this virus is spread. But since we don't have any information, we're just kind of shooting around. So even if we eat or drink, we still kind of are at risk. If we're going to wear a mask all the time, but take it off to eat or drink, what's the purpose of wearing a mask? Like you're still doing the same thing. You're going to have your mask off while you're eating. So if it's something that's going to get in your system due to the fact that you have your mask off, we might as well not wear a mask at all. And then to go back on what Tay's thing, a floor and your door shut. So that means if you work in an office, your door has to be shut just for you to take your mask off. Once again, I would like to see more things from the CDC to say how this virus travels and, gets in people's system. We know what type of effect it got, but we don't know that we people actually get it. We just know people get it.
All right.
Or from what I know. Sorry.
All right, Lo. I'm gonna mix in the next two for you. All right, man. And you used to work security, so when the mask is required to be lowered briefly for identification or security purposes, obviously, and when necessary to reasonably accommodate an individual with disability. And you can hit me with it makes sense, obviously, what I'm saying, but I just want your take on it and hit me. What you got?
Well, let me preface what I'm about to say real quick with what I'm seeing. I don't know anything. I'm not a doctor. I'm not in the healthcare. None of us are. So I'm only going with what my eyes see.
Definitely not a doctor.
Back in March when pandemic first kind of hit, right? It hit everybody around the same time.
Yeah.
I live in Massachusetts. Massachusetts was one of the first states to go to a full mask mandate, right? Or one of the first states. So before all y'all did it, we were like full masked up.
Yeah, you were telling us about it. I remember.
No. I'm just saying. So
don't
here
be
I
petty,
am.
Tay.
Yeah, no, he could be petty. So I'm thinking shit's gonna change, and the cases went up.
Okay.
Like crazy. They went up like crazy, and they're still up. They just started going down maybe a week ago. We started.
Hey, you think that's people not following the rules, or there's like an incubation thing we don't understand? What do you think? I think it's kind of what RB said. We don't know, so it's like man.
But that's what I was about to go with. What RB saying is, I honestly don't know. So if me saying it makes sense, I just me being ignorant. I don't know if the mask is working. I don't know if it's a necessity. I don't know if wearing it on base is stopping it. I don't know what's happening because, like Tay said, they were masked up and they still caught COVID. Richie masked up, still caught COVID. You get what I'm saying? So is it working? We don't know, and if that's what Richie said. We don't even have the information, and it feels like
the numbers ain't reflecting like a positive. I get it.
Yeah. They're like, are we inevitably gonna catch it? Like whether the mask is on or not? Like you still catch the flu. Wearing mask up.
The thing is, Lo, is that we were masked up and taking temperatures. You know what I'm saying? With the little temperature gun. What is that? That's only one symptom. And when I had it, I didn't even have a fever. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, Tay and RB had two different things.
You know what I mean?
That's crazy, man.
I get it, man. They got to make these decisions at leadership levels, but like the thing is, I feel like we don't know enough about it, and it's just, are there even studies being done with the mask that it works or not? Or are we just being, I don't know. It makes you think, man. That's all.
It's just the same exact thing I was telling y'all in the previous podcast. Leadership is just making rules about, like, because I think we were talking about suicide. I think one like people committing suicide or no, the PT failure, the people dying from the PT failures. Leadership is just making rules to say that they did something and not really attacking or talking about the actual problem. They're just making rules to say, hey, we did something about it. That's what I feel. You know what I'm saying?
You think CYA? You think that's what's going on, CYA?
I think it's a little bit, man. I'm not saying that the Air Force doesn't care about us. I think they do care about us, but I think they are. I think that we had, like, a decision has to be made. So it's being made regardless of if it's thought through or, we have to do something. So let's do something. Let's make all masks mandatory no matter where you go.
Yeah, but Lo said that about the PT test, so I think it's the right thing. He said, hey, we don't know why people are passing, so we got to put a hold on the PT test. So I think this is the right move. Is that what you're trying to say?
What I'm trying to say is I think that
because Lo said it a few episodes back, we got to hold the PT test. We had somebody drop dead from it. You know what I'm saying? During this crazy times. So
I think instead of looking at the maybe the instead of looking at the individual problem or whatever, they try to make it like a shotgun blast and cover everything. That's what I feel.
All right, we're gonna transition into the episode. I just want to say this, and I hope everybody on the podcast agrees with me. This came from the secretary, the defense secretary. It's an order. Let's make it happen, and try to do your best to follow the rules that you can and work with your leadership. You know what I'm saying?
Wear your mask.
Note on it. Wear your mask. All right.
Mask, man.
All right. So today's topic: bridging the gap. All right. So me, myself, I'm not a supervisor right now. I deal with a lot of DEPers, but I've had several airmen contact me back and tell me that they feel neglected when it comes to communication and how do we bridge that gap. So that's where all this came from. So for like the last week, I've been taking notes. I've had a lot of people reach out to me. I explained to them that I'm doing the podcast, and I asked different airmen at between airman basic to senior airmen and a few young staff sergeants, hey, give me a few questions you want me to ask. So that's where a lot of these questions are coming from. So if you hear your question out there, know that I listen. I can't use every question for the guys today, but we're gonna get some good ones in. All right. So for me personally, all right, I wrote this down and I just want to get this statement out. I need to understand as a senior NCO that I'm somewhat out of touch with my newer and younger airmen in some way or fashion. All right. And hopefully some of these questions can bridge a gap of information or know-how. And that's for me personally, okay? So for any senior NCOs or NCOs out there listening, that's what this is for, okay? RB, you're gonna be first, bro. You ready?
I'm here. Let's do it.
Are we embracing the new culture enough?
Oh, good question. Are we embracing the new culture good enough?
Or new generation, whatever you want to think. Let's say last 5 to 6 years that just came in. And you can be honest, man.
So to be honest, I'm part of the old culture. And some things that the new culture comes with is there are a lot of airmen out there, soldiers, sailors, and all that come into the military over the past 4 or 5 years that feel like they already should have respect when they walk in. They feel like they can go to anybody and ask why. They feel, I won't even say it's privileged, but they come in with a different attitude than I came in when I was younger. And it's hard to change your way because this goes to something that we talked about offline about standards. If an airman comes to a senior NCO asking a question that a senior airman or a staff sergeant can answer, is he wrong? Are we as senior NCOs going back and lighting those senior airmen and staff sergeants up because they didn't help that airman? I honestly don't think we're embracing it because this goes to something that Tay had mentioned before. We are a business, and our business comes with a lot of standards that we've had since when we first started. And we're not going to budge much to meet everybody's need. Either when you come in here, you meet what we got, or you make rank and you're able to enforce that change to make it better for the generations to come. Just like if you look at the past Chief Wright and our new Chief of Master Sergeant in the Air Force, they are making changes of things that they see that the younger generation is asking for. Like, the women letting their hair down. That was never a thing. Now it is. And I just got added to a link on Facebook about working on mustaches and beards to make that. But that's people taking it, oh, I got a problem and we're going to take the masses and work. And that was something I never did as a younger generation. So though we're not really meshing with it, I think they're a beast to be worked with because they're working together to make change.
All right. I like the communication thing, man. Imagine us back in the day, me and you, RB specifically, all right? Because Tay came in a little later. Low came in even, a little later than that. And forward. Imagine me and you having a straight line of communication. We think social media to us means, hey, it's there for me to use because that's how society has shown me it's there for me to use. There's no rules to posting anything. And when you put something on, the top person on my side of the house can reply to me or be informed. Wait a minute, did y'all know about that? Obviously, with the video you sent us about, the angry drill sergeant, we see the bad side of that. Not the right information given out. He makes a whole YouTube video about it. We all laughing about it. I get it. But there's two sides of it. RB, Tay, you got anything to add to what RB just said about are we embracing the new culture enough?
I think that RB introduced me to a very good book. It's called Sticking Points. And it talks about different generations and how we're all supposed to work together. I think it's more on the leadership or supervisor side that we need to make the adjustments because, as RB says, like we're used to the older ways, and I think that the younger kids understand how to work. I think we need to learn how to communicate with the younger kids a lot better than we have. And vice versa. Like I was just telling the group of kids, I just in process to my new unit, and I just was telling the new kids like, hey, like over the weekend while we're going through phase, you know what I'm saying? Like you guys reach out to me if you need me. The best way to reach out to me is to call me and maybe send me a quick text or whatever, but I communicate best with, calling me and talking to me directly. And they're like, oh, what do you mean? Like, why can't we just send a text? I said, you can. I said, but the best way to communicate with me, I've learned to communicate that way, to tell people the best way to talk to me is to talk to me directly. I don't really, I might see a text come through my phone, I might ignore it, you know what I mean? So I just really think that it's on the supervisor, to make sure that we communicate with these kids the right way and that they understand, they fully understand, and that we're fully transparent and fully predictable to them so they can understand how to, be the best them and be effective.
All right. My opinion on if we're embracing the culture enough is 50-50 for me. I wonder if a lot of people in leadership position are realizing that a lot of the kids that are coming in, because they're the blunt of the force, right? From the bottom of the ranks to like senior airman, staff sergeant, that is a blunt of the force. We know that. And the way they communicate is what you just said, Tay. You said call, they're like, what? And for us right here, we still old enough where we're like, what's wrong with a phone call? But then if we get into their mindset, yeah, a text is the norm for them now. Does that make sense? Because they ain't gonna waste their time sending an email, but that's the norm. What's up, RB?
I'm glad that you said the blunt of the force, because there was something that an older senior master sergeant said one time when he was at a commander's call with us. He was like, I work for you. Yeah. And when we move up into these ranks, it's not, they don't work. We work for them to make sure they have all the needs that they have to go out there and complete the mission. We are a management level. So we should be able to take at least 50% of that and meet them halfway to make that adjustment. But you do see older heads get in these positions and they're so stuck in their ways that the communication gap is so huge. The airmen are angry because the senior master sergeant or chief or master sergeant did this, and the chief master sergeant and senior are mad because they don't know how to effectively communicate to the bottom tier. I think that is something that needs to be heard, because once he mentioned it, he was like, I'm so glad to be here to work for you. And I'm like, wait a minute. He higher ranking me. How is he working for me? But now being moved up in positions, I do see why that is a thing.
All right.
Yeah, no doubt.
Good stuff. Hey, RB Tay, thanks. Lo, I'm going to hit you with the next question. You ready for me?
Yeah.
All right, with that being said, man, are we really giving the new airmen enough time to adjust to the Air Force, their new job, everything? Hey, man.
I don't know, man, because it comes down to everybody's different individuals. Everybody has different ways they learn. Everybody has different ways they cope. Everybody has different ways they do things. So I guess that's that whole blanket thing, or that shotgun blast that Tay was talking about, when you just do a shotgun blast and try to cover all aspects. So I like when I came in, like it was enough time for me, but I came in, I guess I'm somewhat mix of like old school and new school kind of, because I came in 2008, which was still back in of old schoolish, and then it was kind of transitioning to the new school. So I think I got a good middle
good mixture
ground
of it, right? Yeah.
Yeah, like a good understanding of it, even though like we're all in the same age bracket, but when I came in, I came in later than y'all. But I don't know, man. Everybody's different. I do think when people come into the military, they should know what to expect. And like for me, when I came in, like I was blessed enough to have a wife that looked up everything for me. I wasn't that type of person. Like when I joined the Air Force, I just joined. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know nothing, but my wife looked up everything. She Googled what basic was like. She Googled everything.
Yeah.
And so I kind of knew what to expect. I kind of knew what was going to go on after I got out of basic tech school. I knew all that because of her. But I think people got to take that
into
opportunity
consideration, right?
Yeah, to learn like how long this is going to be, because I would say it took me probably maybe, and I don't know, this could be different for y'all, maybe 2-3 years to adjust to the military.
Yeah.
But I mean, every year in the military for me has changed. So I don't know if that's a good answer to say, because I'm a different person than I was 10 years ago, not just as a person, but just as a military member. So I mean, I don't know. I don't have a good answer for that.
Hey, so
I want to
go ahead,
real
Arby.
quick, if you don't mind. So there is something that to go off that question, I think our standards and discipline kind of are bending a lot since when we came in. When I came in, there was a lot of yelling. When you went through basic training, you knew it was almost like an episode of Scare Straight. By the time you got done, at least 80 to 95% of that flight was either terrified, but they were straightened up to be prepared to come into the force. And they don't yell as much as they do anymore. You got your phones taken for those 6 weeks. You didn't have a way to contact your parents, but how? By using a payphone or writing a letter.
Writing letters.
Yep, that was the only way. You maybe used the phone twice during basic training, but now they're getting their phones so they can text their friends, text their loved ones, and get that message, whatever they need. And I just think now after moving in, it's like they don't have that. I'm an airman walking into tech school or AIT or the next school for their job, as we did when we came up. And I think that's wrong, because now I see airmen walking, they got their hands in their pocket, and I'm like, he still got a black book bag on. You know how you identify them here? If they got black book bags on, they just got here.
They just got here in process.
We went through portfolios. We didn't even have book bags. But I know
a canteen.
And a canteen around our waist. So
they got camelbacks now. They fancy.
So I don't know if them getting fancy has made them strong. I won't say strong enough, more disciplined and walking in knowing how it's supposed to work, because there are a lot of bold airmen coming in now.
Yeah.
RB, you know what it reminds me of? I'm sorry, P. I know you're on the time crunch. You know what it reminds me of?
No, man, it's cool.
Like the uncle that's old that got a lot of young nieces and nephews, and he trying to be cool. So he keep doing like all this cool stuff, and there, you know what I'm saying? That's what kind of the Air Force remind, because not all change is good change. You know what I mean? Not all change is good change, man. And so everything that the Air Force is changing to make it more appealing to these younger kids, I think, like I said before, the younger kids should be looking up to the Air Force, not the Air Force looking down to these younger kids and try to make it more convenient for them, and make the road that's traveled nice and paved. There needs to be bumps, there needs to be adversity in there, and I think that's kind of what we're missing, that adversity aspect. And I think that's why some of these kids are harming themselves, because everything that from basic all the way to tech school, you were catered to, you were being nice to. The TIs have to be nice now, the MTLs have to be nice now. Everything has to be nice. And then when you get to that real world where nobody gives a crap about you, when you get to that first duty station, when you're stuck in that dorm room for however long and nobody's coming to check on you, nobody's like making you do this, nobody's directing you anywhere. You get depressed, you get sad. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's where I think all change, like I said, all these changes that the Air Force is making, cool, but not all of it's good change.
Gotcha. Thanks, RB. Appreciate it. Hey, Lo said something awesome. It's a note that I have. He said middle ground, right? I was talking to an NCO I know, and I was like, hey, what's your main concern? He's like, man, a lot of high-ranking people are worried about using their rank without finding a middle ground. Like they're scared to lose that feel of authority if they try to find middle ground with younger airmen, And I think that's the wrong thinking. Rank and finding middle ground is two different things. Like RB, let me use an example. You're a master sergeant, right? Mm-hmm. The older heads are so worried about being that master sergeant that they thought they had to be for so long that they can't bring it down to meet the staff sergeant at his level, and it's causing that miscommunication. It's causing a gain in leadership that they could. It's causing that connection that they could use, And he brought that up to me, so I was like, man, that's something that I definitely folded up, put in my pocket. I'm gonna keep it in the back of my mind to be like, I want to make sure I don't do that. I don't worry about having to be this mass sergeant picture that they're painting. I'm gonna more worry about meeting people where I need to meet them at their level so that I can make them move forward with the mission that we got to accomplish safely and the right way. Get what I'm saying?
So something I want you to take it. Okay, go ahead, Lo.
What's up, Lo?
My question might be a little off topic, but it's going to touch on what you brought up, Tay, about how, because Tay's right, the Air Force is bending backwards to accommodate these kids. And I'm not saying whether I agree or disagree with that, Tay, because I think I more so agree with you about people looking up to the Air Force. But what I've noticed about how the Air Force is kind of bending the rules and kind of make things, because Tay brought up about how some of these kids are harming themselves. I think we also got to look into something that is not really ever addressed. The kids of this generation have experienced more trauma in general than us. And let me explain.
Okay.
We didn't have social media when we were growing up. They have social media. So like, I'm going to use this as an example. When George Floyd got killed, I was sad. It actually made me depressed. My energy was off in my home. My wife was depressed. My whole energy was off, but I'm an adult. I was able to kind of get through that. Now take that to a 12-year-old, 13-year-old, 14-year-old seeing that, something like that.
The video's there. That's their reality. Yeah.
But let me take it away from a race thing. Not even that, just the mass shootings that have happened. When that whole thing happened in Las Vegas with the mass shootings, that was for everybody on social media. See, I woke up in the morning and saw that, and I was like, damn. So these kids are seeing this shit in real time, where we didn't see it in real time. We saw it on the news. You know, our parents might have been talking about it. So they experienced more trauma than we did. So I don't know what the fix is, Tay. I don't know if the Air Force is doing that, because I do notice that mental health has been more at a heightened level now than it ever has been. But I think that's the reason why, Tay, and I just think that might be why they're trying to bend backwards. Again, I'm not saying I agree with it. I just think that might be a reason why. A factor that plays into it is these kids see more trauma than we saw with our own eyes. I'm not talking about our individual trauma that we dealt with. I'm talking about just trauma in life, you know,
in the world.
You got a good point, man. Yeah, because like TV for us was, we saw the nightly news at a certain time, and then it went right into like what, In Living Color, or it went right into Martin, and we laughing again. You know what I'm saying? So with social media, you're right, man. You can be blasted with all this negative, and depending on your, you know, your circle, let's use RB, right? If everybody around them like, look, that dude's on the ground again, this dude got shot, this dude's arrested, and they all look like us, that starts becoming the reality, right? And there has to be people like that feel like, yo, like everything's against me. So you're right, man. I never thought of it in that context. You know what I mean? For us, that is a different type of trauma. So you're right, man. It's bombarding them. You're right. Good point, bro. What's up, RB?
I want to say I'll meet you halfway on that statement, because yes, it's a different type of trauma, but the difference between the kids today and us, we didn't have social media, so we were outside.
Yeah.
We were outside seeing violence depending on where kids were raised, or hearing the sirens of police cars and ambulances, or seeing, you know, actual crime happen within our, you know, right in front of us.
Absolutely.
But when I think of trauma and witnessing it, I still think of 9/11. And when I think of 9/11 until now, I can't say nothing is as big as that impacted us since, you know, I mean, there are many things that have happened since then, you know, because when Kobe Bryant died, that really, you know, that messed me up. But what we witnessed, I guess what I say, I'll meet you halfway and say, yes, I agree. Yes, it's a different type of trauma. Our trauma was more, you know, face to face, and theirs was through a screen, but I won't water it down and say that their trauma wasn't as equal as ours.
You can't say that, Arby. You got to be careful when you say that, man, because trauma affects people different.
That's what I just said. I said,
oh, I'm sorry, I misunderstood.
That's what he was getting at, Tay. That's what he was saying. He's like, I'm not saying their trauma was, hey, but this is my thing.
Hey, wait, RB, you better calm down with the swole in the chest. I don't appreciate all
that. Hey, don't be petty. There you go.
You need to hear everything.
Get him low.
You already know, man.
Get him low.
Hey, Pete. I'm a little chilly right now because I ain't got no hoodie, but you know.
Yeah, man, you out here.
It's like I'm gonna have to skip the gym today because I can't put my hoodie on, but whatever.
Oh man.
Dang, P, you the only one getting a hoodie, man. That makes no sense. I wonder what happened to him. They must have got lost in the mail.
Hey, you got my Ford address. You got my Ford address, right? I got you.
I got you.
All right, cool.
It'll
Me
be
and
there when
Lo,
you get
me and
there.
Lo been nice to RV all week for him not to send our hoodie, man.
All
week. No reason.
Hey, it got lost in the mail, but I got 2 other hoodies here. I don't know what.
He ain't lose my package. I'm good.
No, you're
Hey, so fellas, I love this communication talk. Let's keep it going. Y'all good with that?
Yeah.
All right, so I feel we're bridging the gap, and I hope all of us are understanding the younger generation a little bit better. And I got another thing, all right? So I was talking to another young airman, all right? And he just, he's a young staff sergeant, and he hit me with this, all right? We need to treat the team that's assembled to you as a sports team with different personalities and leverage your team to the best of their abilities while still following the set standards. Now, if you reword that, a lot of us know that already, all right? A lot of us know that, all right? But when I was thinking him saying that is what made me think about the next question, all right? Because it was brought up to me, all right? So Tay, a young lady asked me this, all right? She wants her supervisors or people in supervisor roles to get to know her or them more personally, not just work related. We have to count on each other. And that's why she said it. Because when she said it to me, I was like, what you mean more personal? As a supervisor being older, we got to watch that, right? She's like, yeah, the reason I'm saying more personal is because past that personal level, we have to count on each other at work. And some people feel that if I don't know you on a personal level, I can't really count on you. So what do you think about that, Tay?
I think she's exactly right. I think that's essential. I think it's important, when you have troops that you get to know who, like you get in their Kool-Aid, you get in their business. As a supervisor, I'm in your business because when you go before the commander for you doing something silly, guess who's coming with you?
You.
I'm coming with you. You know what I mean? I'm gonna have to answer for everything that you did. So it is important to me to know who your husband is, to know who your kids are, to know when your anniversary is, to know when your birthday is, to know these things about you, to know about your kids. Are your kids sick? Are they on EFMP? Like, are you in school? Like, what are you doing? You know what I'm saying? It's important for me to know that as a supervisor because I have to be able to build that bond and that relationship with you on that level. So that's just and it depends on the kind of supervisor you are. You know what I mean? Some supervisors don't feel like they need to do all that. I do. You know what I mean? I want to be close to you. I want to understand who you are. You know what I'm saying? So that way I build that bond. It's essential. It's funny you said that because the new shirt that I have, he's a senior master sergeant.
Yep.
I expect all my NCOs to know their troops inside and out. I expect for these airmen to call their supervisor first before they call me or do anything else. And if you can't figure out, I expect you and your troop to be in my office trying to figure out and ask the question. So I think that it's important, man. I think that's important because, like, say for instance, my troop downtown DC drunk. Do I want them to call the sheriff first or I want them to call me first? I want them to call me first. You know what I'm saying? That's just me.
Tay, I got to go to RB right now. He giving me too much face. What's up, RB?
It's all good, man.
It's not nothing against Tay. Like, Tay is 100% right. It's just this question that this young airman brought to you is so heartbreaking. Like, that's what we have feedbacks for. You know, like,
oh my God, who does them anymore, RB?
It blows my mind that she even feels that her supervisor doesn't know her or is on that personal level. You have one job. Take care of your people. If, like Tay said, we'll use that same airman that's downtown drunk, but he never drinks, there's more to the problem. You should probably look deeper into that. You should be like, yo, this isn't something that he normally does. And you can articulate that to the leadership if there's something random. And this is how you catch your airmen when they're going off the deep end. Because if you know your airman, that shit brightens up like a daggone light in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
So, but at the same time, this is for her also. The feedback isn't just for your supervisor to you. You have expectations for your supervisor in that feedback. So you can tell your supervisor, this is what I need to make me tick. I need you to be part of my life. This is my husband. This is so-and-so. This is what I like to do. That's why that feedback is there. And if they're not doing it, well, we've already started off on the wrong foot. So shout out to your senior master sergeant, that first sergeant that said that, because that should be the baseline standard.
All right. Lo, you want to chime in? Or they hit it on the head?
Yeah, because I don't want to, you know me, man. I don't like piggybacking too much, man. I think Richie hit that on the head, man.
All right.
Feedbacks need to be whether they formal and informal.
All
and
right.
for those and for those of you who are listening, if you are writing those 2 or 3 words on your feedback, you're wrong. For supervisors, you need to fill it out all the way and let people know exactly how you feel. You know what I mean? Let them know exactly the expectations, the task condition standards. They need to know every single thing in those feedbacks. The feedback shouldn't be what a formality.
Yeah.
Feedback is a tool to help you understand and learn your airmen, and then that it's a building tool, and then you go off from there. I'm getting so tired of seeing these supervisors put like, do your job, and then that's it. And then the airman's like, well, what do you want to do from education? I want to get a bachelor's degree. Okay, cool. Like, that's awesome. You know what I'm saying? But like, expound on that. Let's talk about it. It needs to be a piece of paper that helps build on the conversation that you have later on when you're in the feedback.
Gotcha.
Right. One last thing, P. I'm sorry.
Hit it, RB. Go. Hey. No. I got something I got to bring up, but go ahead. I'm not gonna forget. I'm gonna take
my God, Richie.
So
to piggyback.
Okay, Richie, you got the next question. Fine.
No. So I this is a lesson I learned. When you get a troop, you don't immediately do a feedback. Watch how they work. Watch them learn them over, a couple of weeks, probably a month or so, and then issue the feedback, because you can see their work ethic then. Because you may be underselling them their work ethic if you give them expectations that they're going to blow out the water if you don't know. But if this dude's always showing up late, all right, cool, I know where to work with you at. But if you can't just have them come in day one, all right, let me issue you a feedback, because you don't know them.
Gotcha.
So I just wanted to put that out there.
Hey, so for all my supervisors, I want to put this out there. I know some supervisors got 8 troops, some got 2, some got 30, right? Some got 72. Right now, my chief in my unit, he has what he calls like his little Pokemon book. And when I saw this, I was like, this is genius, right? He had everybody send in a picture of himself, of yourself, your family, and then you had to put your name the way you want it written, not the military style. The names of your family, ages, your hobbies, your skills, and where you're from. All right. And when I talk to him, he's like, yeah, it's my Pokemon book. Because me as a chief at the level I'm at, there's no way for me to know everybody. But every other day he goes through his Pokemon book. All right. However he sets it up, I can set mine up different. RB will probably set up a board, because I know RB style. He likes to see a visual board. So when he gets to that level, he might have a picture of all his people and a little verbiage next to it. You know what I'm saying? I think we saw Quam do it. We saw Chief Wolf do it. You know what I'm saying? We've all seen a version of it. But this chief has this Pokemon book. All right. No BS. It's in the little plastics and everything. And it was legit, man. And every few days he goes through it and he covers the squadron a few times, making sure he remembers everybody. So he has that picture and that, the information. And maybe you can use that, guys, out in podcast land, to be like, oh man, it's another way to make sure I know my people. Somebody might think about that and it's like, nah, I don't like that. That's cool. But reach out to us through email. Hey, this is what I do. And y'all got the email, all right? So just a little tidbit. Now, since RB's hyped up, I'm gonna hit you with the next one. You cool with that, RB?
Bring it.
All right. If we have a standard, why does leadership still allow certain things to be relaxed if they do let things be relaxed? All right. And that came from a young airman also. All right. He's one of these high speed. His family's been in the Air Force, Army, so he has a different background, right? He's not like me and Lo. We have no connection to the military. We were like the first ones, other than maybe like a distant uncle or something. So what's your take on that, man?
So looking at standards and some of them being relaxed, you got to look at the health status of your unit. If the morale is low and you've had possibly something happen that impacted everybody in the squadron, it's not to say that it's okay, or ops is being driven. Like it's NSI time here in Maelstrom. So every day we're getting ready to do exercise to prepare us for a week of questionings that the base could possibly fail and we would be in a lot of trouble. I don't I don't know if I have a good answer for that. I just think that from a leadership perspective, if I was to look down, what is most important right now?
All right.
If the most important thing right now is to make sure we get through this NSI, am I worried about, okay, his boots look like shit? You know, not saying that the first sergeant can't go around and chop everybody up.
Yeah.
But if the younger NCOs aren't doing it, that's something that I pull the NCOs out. Hey, look, we need to start enforcing this.
All right.
Because, you know, but it's the status, it's the health of the unit. Because if you're always beating the unit down and the morale is super low, and then you're forcing everything, the machine isn't going to work well. You still have to incorporate stuff like morale. Morale is very important for your unit, because if your unit doesn't have morale, their work ethic isn't the same.
It's the lubrication.
Yes. So there's other pillars that have to be filled to make sure that it's standard. And then pride. If there's nobody enforcing why your job is important, you're wrong. A lot of airmen don't understand why they're doing their job, so they don't take it serious. They don't understand there's nothing that happens at their base, so they feel like, oh, my job is just stupid. I just sit here, you know, what's the saying at the gate when they come through? Hey, how are you doing? Living the dream. Living the dream. Boop, have a good day. But they don't understand how important their job is because nothing happens. Yeah. And that's where the leaders come into the
Andrews happens.
And Andrew, ooh, exactly. And Andrews happens, dude.
We're bridging the gap. We're bridging the gap for that's another one. You can have that, Tay, later.
You know, so I think that depending on what pillars, because standards isn't the only pillar that runs a unit.
Yeah.
If you enforce standards on a unit, is your work ethic still the same? Yes, they look good, but can they really perform? Because you can have a flawless gate guard that can look really good at the gate, but forgot to press the button or just looked at an ID and was like, you good. Yeah. And they just get onto a base and do something like what happened the other day. So that's my answer. It's not a best answer, but that's what I got from my perspective as a leadership point of view.
Low, yes or no answer. Question, I mean. What's more important, standard or safety?
Ooh, that is a question for Low.
Hey man, safety always comes first, man. You gotta always make sure, because if you people are the asset, man. Yeah. I don't give a shit what you tell me. People are the asset.
Yeah.
And the piggyback off Low, if you have correct standards, safety automatically follows that.
Follows it right away.
Hey, Richie, cool. Richie, tell everybody what an NSI is, man, because we got people that aren't military that listen to the podcast.
Hey,
Richie over here talking like we just talking to the military.
Don't break no rules.
I appreciate that. I appreciate it. So for all our listeners, what an NSI is a nuclear surety inspection. So we have nuclear bases in the Air Force that have the mission that deals with nuclear weapons. And they come and inspect our base to see if we meet the standards of being able to provide security, but also operations to the nuclear weapons for them to be in action. So many moons ago, a base has failed this inspection. If the base failed the inspection, you work 90 days straight.
We know who you're talking about.
And they come back and they inspect you again. But this is a very high viewed inspection, all the way up to the President of the United States. If one of these bases does not pass their inspection, I think P has seen it before. I don't know. I don't think Tay's been to a nuclear base or Low. But if you fail one of these inspections, hell comes on earth for that base. And that's for all the personnel that work there. It's just not for us that work security, but for personnel that work maintenance, personnel that work the medical portion, etc. So all the components have to come together and be flawless, because we're not the only ones. Anybody all the way up to an airman can fail for a whole base. So it is very tedious that the commanders come down and ensure that all their airmen are prepared for this inspection, because the base commander will be the one that introduces the inspection team and let them loose for that week.
Look at Richie. Richie went. I said, tell him what he went.
Love it.
I forgot what we were talking about.
He's prepping me for the future. Thank you for prepping me and getting me in that positive mindset.
Boom.
Master Sergeant Brown. All right, let's get to the last question. Tay, you ready? I know, Tay, you're not ready. Look at you. You look like you're falling asleep on me.
Look, you're falling asleep, man.
All right.
I'm so good, man. Hey, I know, man. I'm so relaxed. Like, I'm kind of getting this house together, man.
All that stress is finally going away, right?
Good over here, man.
All right, Tay. In the terms of bridging the gap, working the communication from the younger generation to the older generation. So, so work can be more flawless. All right. How can we get away from NCOs blaming current issues completely on a soft Air Force or that back in my day mentality?
It's that look at the closed cat.
Hey.
It's the whole take responsibility. You have to be accountable, man. Like it takes a strong leader in order for. Look, okay, let's rewind that. I take all that back. You have to have a foundation. That's how you stop that from happening. A leader has to come in and build a foundation. I look at the Patriots for a long time, right? They built a foundation of a culture of winning, and it was based off people are debating now the Bill Belichick's way. If you were late, he didn't care who you was. Tom Brady,
you got benched.
You got benched. Yep. If you did this or did that, you got fined. It's setting a standard and setting a foundation for a culture to win. That's how you get rid of that, man. Because all these complaining and back in my day, well, hey, every time someone hears that, nip that in the butt. It's not back in your day anymore. Let's get rid of that. It's right now. What can we do right now? I'm so tired of hearing, these kids and back in my day and da da da. Man, if you're not willing to adapt, you will get left behind. And that's the truth. And a lot of people, and that's why, especially in the security force world, people are getting fat, out of shape, and they're not willing to adapt. They get left behind, man. And I just threw the big people in there for no reason. But
that's messed up.
Over there shaming, man. Over there shaming.
Hey, that's on me. That's on me.
They're gonna kill you.
It's okay. That's fine. But I'll get canceled. That's fine. But hey, man, I don't care, man. I don't care, man.
Cancel.
He gonna lose his sponsors. He gonna lose his gray hoodie sponsors.
But the thing is, man, is that you have to build the foundation before and you have to set the precedent. You have to set the culture. That, like Lo said, you have to set the culture of what your unit and what direction your unit is going to be. You have to set that culture. It only takes one or two people, man, to help set the culture.
I think it's more people moving away from that. But like I said, like certain negative things that still float around, it's always going to float around, man. And I just want to tell all the NCOs that are past that out there listening, keep doing what you're doing. Try to stay as positive as possible. And remember, there's no back in the day. We don't talk past, we talk in present. Let's move forward.
Stay away from those toxic people, man.
Yeah, stay away from the toxic people.
The RBs of the world.
Well, gentlemen, that was my last question for the day.
Richie, I don't think you're toxic, bro.
Me either, Richie.
I love you, bro.
I think you're a little petty sometimes, but toxic, never that.
He just forgets to send out mail.
All right, let's roll over to Lo. Lo, you got any last remarks, brother?
Lo's never ready.
I know, right? I never got nothing prepared, man. I just I enjoyed the convo, man, because this is a convo that needed to happen, man. And I think a lot of young airmen, and I think everybody, whether you're an airman to leadership, needs to listen to a podcast like this, man. Especially this episode, because there's a lot of gems that people could take out of this, man.
All right. RB, you got any quotes for the day?
I don't have any quotes for the day, but just ensure, you be accountable. Be accountable. You're going to be the representation of what happens over the next 30 years. Once I leave the military, there's still people going to be in the military. Once you leave the military, ensure you leave a lasting image, regardless of if it's the airman that can't get right or your most stellar airman. You always give them 100% to make them successful. And if they can't, that's okay. We'll show them the door out.
Gotcha. Tay.
Richie gonna be the Brett Favre of the Air Force. He gonna retire and come back, retire again.
Have Hanes commercials. What's that shoe commercial that he got? That nobody wears Skechers. RB gonna be walking in Skechers.
What about the copper fit?
Yo,
for his knees. Anyways, hey man.
Hey, what you got, brother?
I got one last thing, man. I got a friend request on Instagram from a dude that really did me wrong back in that unit when we was all together, and it was kind of weird, man. I haven't accepted it yet, but my wife said something significant to me last night when I was telling her about it, and she said the best revenge is massive success. Like, don't hold on to that anger in your heart. Don't hold on to that, to whatever happened in the past. You know what I'm saying? Like, you literally learn how to forgive and move on. So I think like since that negative event in my life, I've had massive success, and you guys all been there for the ride. And I want to say thank y'all to that. But so I think after doing this podcast and thinking about that, man, I think I'm gonna go ahead and hit accept on that friend request.
Nice. All right, man. I got no cool quotes today.
I denied it. I already know who you're talking about. I denied that shit quick.
So I ain't got no cool quotes. I ain't got no cool quotes, but I do want to say something for any of the NCOs, young, mid, or old heads listening. All right. Don't forget to try and put a little effort into embracing a new culture and using them to the best of their ability to move this rock that we call Big Blue in the right direction. Sit back and make sure that you remember that everybody adjusts differently. And if you think you got a kid that has a lot of energy, Airman Palmer, if I didn't have people, I'm not gonna say no name, but if I didn't have NCOs and FE Warren that saw a little bit of me in them and knew that I just need a little bit more time to adjust, that I would be able to do great things later. Remember that. And don't be scared as a seasoned NCO or a seasoned senior NCO to find middle ground with some of these young people, because it might work out for the best for the whole situation for the Air Force. All right. With that being said, man, it's been wisdom, whiskey, and winning. Fellas, it's been fun. Love you. Let's get it in. I'm not sure who the host is next, but you will find out when we upload that bad boy.
Quick, get that screenshot, take. Get that screenshot, take.
Until then.
I forgot to do it.
Man, why he always do this to us? I'm glad I said what I said earlier, because hopefully he's going to stop it there. If not, this is the blooper reel.
I love it, though, man. I love it. It's fun, man.
I forgot to do it.
Well, I see that recording on the top left.
Can you end the recording at least?
Yeah,